And
All right, we're live on the air again. We're back. This is the grand finale of the Literacy View. Who's excited?
Hey,
Woo!
I'm excited.
Antonio. This is amazing.
I'm gonna crash your party
Come
Oh
on in.
wow!
Come on in, brother.
right here. I'm here. I'm fine. That's fine. Let's squeeze.
This is
Trina
the
out.
most insane experience. Now this is love.
This is fun.
They're saying that language is everything, but I think that we've redefined it that love is everything.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is love is everything. So welcome to the Literacy View. You all know our No BS besties, Trina and Doug. You guys love Trina and Doug. We get a million questions. People are buying their stuff. Our viewers, story champs, this and that. I got to explore story champs and all the great resources outside. Not as much as I wanted to, and we have our No BS
Yeah, I
bestie.
stuck around.
So why'd you decide to stick around?
Look who you're talking to.
All right.
Why wouldn't I want to stick around?
So
I just invited myself.
I
I'm sorry,
love that.
Judy.
right, it's like a house party and you just
Yeah.
showed up. All right. So most of our viewers know us, know you, not know me, but some people might still not know who you are. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and what drives your work in literacy. Ready, set, go.
I'm Trina. I want to get to the how. We've been debating the what for way too many years. I want to get to the how, and I can do that.
Yeah, I'm Doug, and it's so nice to see everybody again out there. And I am with you. We're in the same. We are on the same page.
That doesn't
Same-
happen every single time, right?
No,
No.
right? Yeah, and we want to change the world. And I know that sounds stupid and ridiculous.
It
I'm sorry,
doesn't.
but
It
it's just,
doesn't.
like, that's the mantra. You do with that as you will, but that's come from a place of love. For me, there are children that need our help, and that's why we're doing this.
So what is the research telling us? They've been talking a lot about research. Even you guys, you showed stuff on the screens. Can you break it down in really practical terms? What is the research telling us, especially for a practitioner like me in the field that's doing the work, that's in the trenches? Break it down for me. What is the research telling us, especially in the lens of this conference?
Okay, well, I think it's a very simple message. If you actually do focus on the components of reading comprehension, in other words, like at a very simple level, right? If you just focus on word recognition and you focus on oral language comprehension, then you will get reading comprehension outcomes. And you will actually really get reading comprehension outcomes. Children will learn, and they'll learn how to understand what they're reading, learn how to write. And it's not a little bit. It's not a tiny change. We're actually talking about a huge change. You look at all the studies, the effect sizes are very meaningful. And those effect sizes are real children making real changes. It's not a complicated formula. We know what to do. It's just about implementing now.
And I
both
think the
sides of that.
implementation piece is a piece that a lot of people in the field are still struggling with. And part of the reason we're still struggling is very often we feel like we're not getting quality materials to work with.
That's
And
right.
then we have to keep thinking and thinking and thinking. And when we have to keep thinking and thinking and thinking, we burn out, we get tired, we get frustrated.
Yeah, I want to speak to that because one of the faulty beliefs that we talked about is that teachers are told that they should put all in the early grades for what has been called the foundational skills.
Right.
Unfortunately, those are not the foundational skills. Oral language or spoken language spoken language skills are the foundational skills, even to those phonological aspects of decoding, right? They are the foundational skills. And if we thought about them as foundational skills, we would not wait to ask for tools to be able to implement spoken language instruction. So spoken language instruction should be much more intentional, right? The quantity and quality of it needs to be happening in preschool, kindergarten, first, second grade, before kids are proficient in decoding. And the reason why is because good spoken language helps make decoding instruction more efficient.
And I don't think that enough people have thought about that. I think there's been such a hyper focus on decoding. And I think that's great because the system failed, right?
Yeah.
My balanced literacy
yeah.
career, my reading recovery year, that area was
Yeah,
completely
we needed a course correction.
neglected.
Yeah.
But I think we're going through a course correction now. And I think Nell and Terry and all the people like you guys involved in this are changing the course of direction.
Yeah.
but that might take time, right?
And it's not just about knowing that language is
Yeah,
important.
it's
Okay,
the
that's the
tools.
key thing, right?
The tools.
That's right. And so here's the thing about this conference that I think is very unique and incredibly awesome. We can actually say now for the first time, yes, language is everything. Reading is language. We have to have language. We know this. And Luisa Motes has done an amazing job also through letters to bring that attention to everyone. So many teachers are learning now that are already know, but are even being reinforced that language is so important. Now we can say, yeah, and look at all of the research which has resulted in an actual thing, that a tool that you can use. Let's
Assessment,
know,
instruction,
story chants,
interventions.
But
Nelly, right? You
Right.
actually have
Right.
something that you
Right.
can.
Not everybody knows. I've spoken about Nelly, but not everybody here. Do you want to just let
Well,
everybody
I mean,
know?
Nelly is this program that was put together by Charles Hume and Maggie Snowling, and it's fabulous. It's an oral language intervention that they have, and they have fabulous research across thousands of children, mostly across the pond over in England. And what's amazing about something like Nelly is that it is actually something that has been implemented across thousands of children with hundreds of teachers, and it can be implemented right now. And that's the same thing with Let's Know. That's the same thing with story champs.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the problem, and I'm sorry to interrupt because I get upset because sometimes these things don't trickle down into our hands. So
Yeah.
what do we do? Like, I might not have story champs. I might not have Nelly, and I may want them deeply from the
Yeah.
bottom of my heart. And I hope that you guys can make good things happen for me,
Yeah.
because I saw that story champ box outside and it was straightforward, had a script, and we'll talk about all that later. But like, I might not be able to get those resources into my hands. So what do I do?
So we need to bring more people into the conversation about how language is everything. And that's the misnomers and the idea that somehow decoding is different than language comprehension, and that language comprehension happens after, right? We have to change our paradigm about what literacy is. And I agree, reading is language, but literacy is language, and we cannot forget writing.
Okay, wait.
because
So let's
teachers
say, let's practice these mantras.
Okay.
Antonio's going to practice. We've had some mantras. Wait,
And
Trina,
Daniel-
Trina's going to coach me. Trina, we
Yeah.
need the gradual release to happen. So go
Okay.
slowly and efficiently to make
Now
sure I
it's
do
a
this right.
model.
So,
Okay,
can
she's
I-
modeling.
so let me interrupt just
Oh, this
super,
is
super
so
quick.
fun.
Everybody should be hearing this.
Well,
Right.
that's
You
why
know,
she's
it-
recording.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about the entire field, because I was talking to Judy earlier about we exist in silos out there, and it's not okay. This is just my English speakers, and now my English learners are elsewhere. All right. No. Everybody
Trina-
should be here.
Trina's
should
drawing
be
on her
listening
hand
to
right now.
I'm
just
taking
looking-
Everybody
notes.
should be a part of it.
So I have a comment for that, but I'm going to do what she asked me to do and come back to this one.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Here we
so
go.
Reading is language is great, but I want to
Wait, let's
say,
say,
hold on.
no. Oh,
Literacy is language. Okay, everyone's say that with me.
Literacy is language.
Okay, tell me what this is now. Everybody, your turn.
Literacy is language.
Yes, very good.
And you like
Literacy
that
is
term
language.
better. Why?
Because
Yeah.
it's inclusive of writing. And one of the things that we
Sure.
hear from teachers constantly is that they do not understand how to teach writing. And I'm going to tell you that the way you teach writing is teach speaking. That is your primary lever, because children do not write what they cannot say.
Woohoo! And that was a big takeaway at the
Yes.
conference. And I have that in my notes, Trina. I was listening.
All of a sudden people go, oh, so you're a writing person. I'm like, yes, because I'm a spoken language person.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And that really does. It provides clarity.
That's my job. That's my job, man.
Yeah, we have
Clear
all
and
these
kind.
labels.
Oh my God.
We have
Yeah,
all these
provides
different.
clarity. Right on.
We have all these different labels for language, which is a
Right.
tragedy. It doesn't help.
Exactly.
It's not like your reading comprehension is not language. It's not like writing is not language.
Phonological
all-
awareness, language.
It's all language. And that's
Yeah.
the problem when you start giving them different names, then people think they're different things.
Yes.
And
yes,
they're not.
Yes.
It
So
is
that's
just-
funny.
It's just water. It's
So-
agua.
So I was
I like
well
that.
behaved during this
In the river.
I
conference.
like that.
I was podcasting a million times during this conference, which is the first time I've ever done this. We are bringing a conference to life. Think about what a great thing that is there's so many of you that couldn't be here, couldn't afford to be here, didn't have the time, have kids, this, that, who knows? But now you're here. You're here with the best of the best. And you all said we need it all during the conference. Did that tie into what you just said
We need
before?
what?
During the conference, you said, both of you, I don't know, I think it was both of you said,
I know what she's
we
saying.
need
single strand.
it all. Tell me
Oh,
about
we
that.
need
Yes.
it.
So,
Yeah.
so this is one of the
With that
problems.
East Coast accent. I was like,
Oh no, I love that. That's so good.
Thank you. Do you know how many times people at the conference
I
have
was
said,
watching
where's
it.
your accent from? It's been hard. Not everybody here is from Brooklyn, New York, where I'm originally from. Do you know how many times people have said, I love your accent? And then I'm paranoid. I'm like, do they really love it or do they not love it? But
Okay, so this is one of the things. The reason why the science of reading is so
Yeah.
difficult in translation to teachers and what happens in classrooms is because we cannot research everything all at once.
Right.
And so you've got this researcher that does vocabulary, this researcher that
That's
does
right.
syntax, this person does storytelling or, something, content,
Right.
knowledge, strategies. You see, we all have our little strand.
that's right.
And our message is we need all the strands. The solutions that teachers need will never be single strand.
I'm
They
so
will be
happy
an
that you're saying that.
integrated set of language
Yeah.
repertoires.
I'm so happy that you're saying that because I feel like, and I spoke about this during the conference while I was live streaming, we had the balanced literacy camp and then we had the science of reading camp. Now we're developing camps within the rope and it is not acceptable.
Yeah, I would prefer, somebody mentioned that earlier to me about the camps, and I just said, I would prefer not to call it camps. I think it's the
It's
natural
so-
evolution of science.
Right.
It is like a self-correcting, generative thing. But here's what we could do better at. The scientists need to become friends. Like his knowledge needs to get transferred to ours
Exactly.
so that we can work on a central message
right.
that goes from science to here to practitioners, to the
Right.
educators in the field. Because if they get it from this scientist and this
Okay,
scientist
but
and
Trina,
this
I'm
scientist,
gonna
they get
push back.
fractured strands.
Trina, I'm a tough cookie. How do we make it happen? That's easy to say.
Well-
conferences. Sorry, you asked Trina. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I keep talking. I told Nell before this into some of our planning meetings, I said, we're really difficult to constrain. And she's like, oh my God.
She asked you. You answer that question.
They are difficult to constrain a little bit. That's why I told my partner, Paul,
That's
go
good.
have fun, go sightsee, go eat some lunch. We have some serious discussions that have
Look
to
at
take
the- look
place.
at what's
I'm
happening at
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
conference.
No,
Look
you're
at what
Okay.
happens at this conference.
Okay.
It's not a speech language pathology
Right.
conference. It's not just a conference
Right.
for school psychologists.
That's
right.
that's
we are
so
all
true.
talking with every other person in
I've-
every other
I
discipline.
haven't seen that often
Yeah,
at
and we
other
are all
conferences.
on the same page because all truths converge, right? All of the research that we find converges together, and we all come at it in different ways, but we come to the same end result finally.
And
And
I
my note
Yeah.
is actually pertinent right now.
okay.
Okay.
All right,
So
what's
one
your-
of the things that we often hear, and I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts about this.
Okay.
One of the things we often hear is like multilingual learners need specialized instruction,
Ooh, yeah.
right? So I want you to
Ooh.
respond to that. Do they need specialized instruction, or could they need something else?
Do you mean specialized instruction
Yeah, it's what?
like
instruction
different than
Yeah,
other?
different from what other kids are getting?
No.
Amen, bro.
It has to be amplified. And I think the
Yes,
amplification
yes.
is language.
Individualized.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. That is exactly what I wanted to say. Is
No,
that
not
this
just
is one
for
of our
no.
faulty beliefs, our
Yeah,
BSs,
yeah,
is that
BS.
some
Wait, we didn't even get to the BS
Oh,
part,
say
Trina.
that,
She
say that.
already knew BS now. No, just do it, Trina.
Sorry, I was building off your
Say-
BS
say-
mantra.
say the BS.
The BS is that certain pots of children need a different type or style
Right.
or version
No,
of
yeah,
instruction.
Right.
Guess what? Good instruction works for all kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And you're with us, right?
And it's
Oh, absolutely.
hold on a second.
Why
The-
would it be different?
The
It-
how to
right,
teach
yeah.
never changes.
Yeah.
The scientific principles, learning sciences, cognitive, behavioral, wherever you come from, those sciences will be the same for every learner. They're the same for children. They're the same for multilingual kids.
Yeah.
For adults, those principles are the same.
The
What
principles,
changes
yes,
is the what and how
Yeah, the
much.
surface changes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
The what, the how much, especially.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And we
Yeah,
amplify.
but in the what though, we differentiate because this kid might have difficulty with, like English grammar or, like
Mhm.
plurals or pronouns or something like that. So this kid, we're going to get a different dose of this, but we're going to teach it the same way using the
Exactly.
same principles as we would teach
Exactly.
this other kid some vocabulary.
Right, right.
Or inferencing.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the what and how much is what the teachers have to do on a daily, minute by minute
right.
basis. We've got to make the how simpler for
Okay,
them.
but that
Yes,
goes back to you,
simpler.
Judy. Judy, you said
Did I say something crazy?
You
No.
said, how do we do this if
Oh.
somebody
Yeah.
doesn't have Let's Know? Somebody doesn't have Stories. They don't have Nelly.
Right,
How
I might
do-
not.
Well, I don't know. What do they do? Do they go get a master's degree in speech language pathology, or I don't know.
Well,
Like,
I
don't
think-
they need tools
okay,
to
so
help
can
me?
I-
Don't
can
I need tools?
Can
to
I
help
tell
me?
you the problem?
Okay, yeah.
Many of us have been given materials that we don't feel are working well. Like I saw your
Mm.
materials; they're scripted.
Yeah.
I love a script. Some people will be like, "Oh, I don't want a script.
Well,
That's going to make
it's
not-
semi-scripted, right?
it's not fully scripted,
It's an
right?
implementation support, not a script.
Right.
Yeah.
It's and I would appreciate an implementation support because I feel like if I had that support, maybe something that I don't know so well, I'm going to start knowing those routines
Yeah,
and
That's right.
well,
Oh, and here's what
and
Nell-
internalize
here's
it.
what Nell allows us to do. She
Right.
only allows us to talk about things that have considerable research evidence behind them.
Right.
And that means that put in the hands of teachers, they actually work. And so it's not a question of, oh, if I go implement this, is it going to work? We already have large scale randomized controlled trials that say this, and implementation evidence that says this works, right?
And it sustains when it's put in the control of the users.
And I don't think I would be a robot. I still think I would be the
No.
vibrant,
Oh, you
funny,
totally would be
charismatic
yourself.
Judy that I
Exactly.
am.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the points that came up in my talk was, we have in good instruction requires curriculum controlled procedures or design and teacher controlled procedures. It's like how they amplify, differentiate, and individualize, right? But when a curriculum fails to provide that design, becomes the burden of the teacher to make up for
And,
it.
and you know what, Trina? The teachers are sick of it.
Yes. So I get it.
They're
I
sick
get
of
it.
it.
That's
And you know
what we-
and you know what's here that they're sick of it? The coaches,
Yes.
like me, and we
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And we try to make it
Right.
better, but it's very hard to talk to people that are like doing the best that they can.
So we put a handout
Right.
in the
Yeah.
materials for this whatever that is just 11 little things. It's not all of Anita Archer's explicit
Where
instruction
is the
stuff.
handout?
I don't actually know where but it's a handout for this. We want it to
Do
be
you think
widely
maybe we could put
distributed.
it on in the show notes eventually?
Yes, yes, I can
Okay.
give it to you.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
there are 11 little things, and they're ordered kind of in operation of what's most
Yeah.
effective, so that you're not overwhelmed with it. And we
Hey,
designed it.
That's loosely ordered.
It is loosely ordered, but that was intentional. Okay, but the idea of it is for teachers or curriculum directors to use this and evaluate their current materials and identify the weak areas. And then you select which one or two of these areas that the teacher has to plan how she supplements or modifies.
It's still unfortunate that they have to do
I
it.
know we don't
Right?
want them to have to do it. So but not everybody's going to have story champs
But it'll
curriculum.
give you a little bit of a
bridge.
action
It's
plan.
an
That's
action.
exactly
It's
right.
something to
Okay.
do.
Yep.
And how do you
so
even
we
know
don't
where to
feel
start?
like a
This is where
hamster
to
spinning
start.
in a wheel.
Yes.
Like, what do I do next? What do I do next?
This is just a place to start.
Now,
While we all
this
advocate
is
for
not in my
better-
notes, but I've been seeing a lot of things in the trenches. Today we're doing main idea. Tomorrow we're doing character traits.
Oh,
The next day we're doing
Yeah.
setting. The next day we're doing
Oh, we talk about this all the time.
what do we do if that's
Oh
what
my
we're given
gosh.
though?
I didn't
Like,
have
what
that-
do
I
we
didn't have the
do?
kind of clarity that Trina had with this either. And I was like, what? How do you sequence this? What is the correct scope and sequence? And I feel like Trina actually, she's a master at this sort of thing, right? And so she takes the organization that I had for Story Champs Intervention, the new thing that we're launching, and she's like, nah, I got better ideas. And she does.
But what do we do if we were given that?
Okay. Here's, I'm
Let's
going
do
to
it.
tell you, I'm going to explain.
Easy. Break it down into baby steps, Trina.
Okay.
No complicated stuff today.
All right. Here's the goal.
All right.
We want to integrate strategy instruction, okay, into good, meaningful spoken and written language activities.
Okay.
Okay. So the goal and focus of that instruction isn't I'm going to teach you what the main idea is. That is not
Yeah,
the skill.
yeah.
The skill is, can I functionally use my inferential reasoning or my inferential thinking? Sorry, superpowers, pattern recognition, inferential thinking.
Right.
So we're teaching, giving opportunities to students to engage their inferential thinking in a strategic way, given meaningful academic complex content. So you have to give them a functional goal and you teach them this strategy, maybe,
Yeah.
right? But immediately practice, model it, Give them another practice, give them more examples of meaningful content for them to continue.
And
to
what if
practice
somebody's
it.
not confident in those strategies? What do they do then?
You mean students?
No, teacher.
Teachers? Oh yeah. Well,
Not that many.
that was the
Hey,
hard.
that's your question.
Yeah. Not Doug, yeah. Take it. Take
Wait
it, Trina.
a second.
I'm playing worst
I know.
case scenario.
I get it. I
And-
get it. But I also don't think teachers are dumb.
Does it go
They're
back
not
to
dumb,
your-
but
So,
we
like,
can't.
give
No. But we cannot assume if people haven't been given a lot of training, because in balanced literacy, what we were
Okay.
doing, Trina,
Okay, I will do.
what we were doing in balanced literacy is we were doing running records. We were asking a whole bunch of questions, and that's exactly what we
Yeah.
did
Okay.
in our lessons.
I don't want you to do that. Okay, here's the answer. And I'm sorry, I just like had
You
to take
sure
a
you
few.
have
I do.
the
No, I
answer?
have an answer.
Oh,
I
oh.
have
Oh
an
my
answer.
God.
But this is actually, it's funny because I have answered this question multiple times and I have
Yeah.
forgotten it. Right in that moment, I was like, no. The passage, the meaningful content that they have. So it's like a discourse. It's beyond
Okay.
a sentence, beyond a sentence.
Right.
So it's a paragraph,
right.
a story, a passage, whatever it is. Their academic curriculum is replete with those things already. So you use the paragraph or the story that you're already thinking about and you're already doing from science, social studies. I don't care where you bring
Okay.
it from, but make it relevant. Those things are what you're trying to teach. So
So give me an
them the
example.
tools.
Give me a practical example.
Okay, so let's say there's a science lesson on the layers of the earth. Okay, so you've got
that sounds like a thriller.
Interesting.
so rather than doing this like I don't know how to explain it. And a good example would be like take a paragraph from the material that they would be using to teach that.
Okay.
So like CKLA has a lot of great materials, very language rich, knowledge heavy,
Right.
Take one paragraph out of that and have kids practice retelling it. Okay, so they're hearing it modeled multiple times, they retell it. And then we say, I wonder what the main idea of this
Right.
is. Do you see what I mean? But you can't just say, read this passage and go, what's the main idea?
Yeah,
Or
he
just read this
Cats just
passage.
said that to
Or
us, right?
what
He was
about
like,
read
"That's
this passage and
nonsensical."
just retell?
Well, retelling is a great step because you're going to get
Right.
understand.
But
it.
you scaffold
But the
it.
key is to still understand.
That's right. And you got to scaffold those children. And if you're retelling, it does mean that you understood
You have-
and produced,
You're
right?
putting it in your words.
And
the
so
way
you get a
understand
window
it.
into how well they can understand by how well they can retell something. It's not perfect, right? It
Right.
doesn't really tell you a lot about inferencing often, but
Right.
it does tell you about their comprehension. Can I add to this here? When we came in, Antonio was talking about higher ed, right?
Yes.
And like Louisa, you were saying that Louisa was like a little bit down on.
Yeah.
Wait, was
Well,
this on?
we don't
this on the air?
Oh, no.
She's
She's
not
on
meant
the
to-
other
meant to-
having secret
I
conversations.
think we can be skeptical
Yeah, just
about
like,
the
hey, we
progress
could
we make
do
in
better.
higher ed.
Just like we could do better at higher ed, right? And you were like, hey,
It's the
there's
truth.
a positive message. Like we can.
We
And,
are.
like if the teachers start there and they are learning about what's being taught here at this summit, then that is a huge head start, right?
Huge head start. Yeah.
Yeah, if our curriculum looked like this content here.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
learn about these principles.
And I do think that there is some progress being made. I mean, Claudia Ladd just celebrated that Wyoming's legislation just built all that stuff in. Kansas also has a blueprint for literacy.
But
that
why can't
requires these
everybody be
things.
doing these things?
Yeah.
Why do we have
That's
to
a
wait?
good
Oh,
question,
this state
Judy.
did
Yeah.
it, and this
I like
state
that.
did it, and this state did it. But there's so,
Yes.
and I was
Yeah.
at a session, I think it was a session about Mississippi, and she mentioned how many states are not doing
Yeah,
these
you're
things.
impatient because it affects children's lives. And
Right.
it makes you impatient and it makes you angry.
Angry,
Like we need to start
angry.
right now.
And I'm not an
And you-
angry
and you
person.
No, but it's
realize-
like right now we need to change the
You
world.
realize to actually get these states to be united requires a strong federal government that reads research and values research and values
Whoa.
educators.
Oh no, you're not going there, right?
She's I wasn't trying to be political. You said, why can't everyone do it? That's
Okay.
why.
Okay.
We are not a United States. We are a state by state, local control. We're never going to do things across the board. Like the UK just adopted the Nelly for the entire country.
Yeah, but
or
our
it was
states-
England.
Our states can all adopt evidence.
Yes, they can. But we still are never going to have, not in this country. We're just not going to have it. I'm
All
not
right.
saying this current climate, we've never had that.
All right. So I have a question. You guys at your presentation spoke about a lot about screening and that it has multiple meanings. I thought that was really, really, really interesting because I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding in the
Yeah, there's
field.
different purposes for assessment.
Can you talk about
right?
that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So there are purposes for assessment for actually trying to identify disorder. Okay, that's one. Like, does the child have a disorder or not? Another reason for screening is to monitor progress over time. Is what I'm doing helping these children, right?
Wait, that's not a screening.
Yeah. Progress monitoring, okay, is a purpose of assessment, and
Yes,
it is to
purpose of
determine
assessment.
whether a
Oh.
child is making progress over time. Another screener is asking, I'm going to screen these children. Are they at an expectation that I have or that society has? A benchmark expectation. That's another screen.
So I think the problem in the system is that we're doing benchmark assessments. Like, for instance, I use Acadians.
Mhm.
Is that telling me just like a pulse check of how the kids are doing,
Yep.
but it's not, or is it telling me if a
Yeah,
kid is at
its
risk?
purpose is not really to inform instruction. Its purpose is to say this child is at benchmark or not. It's like a temperature gauge, right? Now that can be very helpful, but if you don't follow it up with information on what the child specifically needs, then it is not that helpful, because then you just put kids in bins and don't know what to do with them. And that's what we have. I'm sorry, but that's what happened when we did oral reading fluency with children and we just binned them like that. Oh, this child is below benchmark on oral reading fluency, so they go over to this camp, and you don't know what it is.
Wait, you
though.
used the word camp. Trina said not to use that word.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
That
yeah.
type of intervention.
that type of intervention.
Phonologically related.
And then
code
what
skills
happens, you
intervention.
don't know what causes the difficulty in reading fluency. That's what you need to know. So then you can actually do
So what's the
explicit,
solution?
systematic fun. Well, the solution is to actually have assessments that also
Measure.
tell you what it is the child needs to focus on, right? And so that's,
Well, and you have to measure language.
well, right. Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, oral reading fluency may have been one of the most highly correlated to reading comprehension, but we have much better measures now. We don't have to rely on
A lot of people
proxy
on the
measures.
literacy view went kind of crazy with that one.
Yeah, we know. We're going
We're
to
not-
address it at comprehension
and
on August 20th.
we're not denying that reading fluency
Is important.
correlates with
Yeah.
comprehension. It does with the young children. That's fine. That's great.
Okay,
But that
good.
doesn't-
Because you shook my world on
that
that.
No,
doesn't-
we
episode.
were
that
saying don't
doesn't
do
tell
it.
you
It just
though-
isn't about
It doesn't
comprehension.
measure comprehension.
Yes.
And we
No,
can
right.
now
And now-
measure language comprehension.
Yes.
We couldn't in the past very well.
Yeah, now we
but
can.
research advances. We now know how to measure language. And so let's measure language and not rely on how fast a child can read.
So
tell
how
us
soon
about
do you
it.
think we're going to be measuring language in my school
It's a
district?
done deal. Why don't you
Well-
pick it up today? Like you said, there's an impatience here, right? Like, why don't we adopt it right now? I
How?
don't know.
I don't have control.
All you have to do is just say, yeah, let's adopt language screen or
But I'm not the
cubed
principal,
assessment.
and I'm not
Well,
working
then
in the district
hopefully they're
office.
listening
So-
to us right now.
Yeah.
I think I hear this. I get this one, but we can't advocate for you unless people show up to hear or whatever. You need to go to your leaders and say, hey,
It's not always
I-
fun and easy.
no, it's not. But
No.
you're the ones, they're going to listen to you, right? Or you can engage the parents and be like, yeah, but how is my kid doing in comprehension, right? Their oral reading fluency is great, but my kid's not
I think the
comprehending.
problem is like what you're saying is there's a hyper fixation right now on the decoding piece.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you think teachers are ready to embrace that
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
to?
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
They're
I
all
think so.
getting
But
that
you know-
letters training and
Let me-
they're learning about language.
And they sense it. They sense that they are not capturing everything that they need for reading
And
comprehension.
even
Yeah.
things like the Mississippi Miracle, those kids, well, the only thing that happened really is that their scores on the NAEP went up like a couple of points,
Right.
while states around them went down, but they did not hardly move the needle at all. And I'm sorry, that sounds negative, but I'm just saying
It's okay.
they literally still have, what is it, like 50-60% of their children reading below proficiency.
Right.
That's not, that's wonderful. They're making gains. They will continue to make some gains focusing on phonics, but not enough.
Not enough.
You've got to
I
focus
think that's
on
a key
language.
point. So say that as a mantra.
Go, Doug, go.
Do it in Spanish,
Don't be under the bus.
You just simply cannot focus on a single strand. That's it.
Or a single section
Or a
of
single
the
section.
of
All
the
right.
entire road.
So what are the key faulty beliefs and myths you feel need to be cleared up right now
tread
on the
lightly,
literacy
my
view? Uh-oh.
Well, then you should start.
No.
Antonio's
No,
here
no.
too if he wants to start.
I
What
think,
are the
I
key
think Nell would
faulty
say I
beliefs?
come in hot.
Okay, look. Well, I will.
But she likes you, right?
I don't know.
You know
Well,
what?
After the day, we'll see.
Nell's real hot. No, to be honest, the reason why I'm hot is I'm impatient with you. I am tired. I had these issues 20 years ago when I was
Right.
in New York City schools.
Right.
The idea that
20
you-
years ago. No,
Right.
wait, what is this year? 25 years ago.
Right.
25 years ago, I was in the year 2000, and I
Yeah.
had these problems. I'm angry that we have not moved this needle.
The idea that you need to wait to focus on language is a disastrous.
Or to promote
is.
comprehension.
Wow, it's a
Which-
disaster. That's
it's
a powerful word.
Disastrous. It leads to disaster because if you just focus on word recognition with young children, you think, I'm going to get that out of the way. I'm going to build that.
And I think a
quote,
lot of
unquote,
teachers
foundation.
are feeling that way
That's
right
right.
now because
You
they're
are-
desperate to get kids to read and they think, okay, let me do this.
Yep.
And why am I doing so much of this
Yep.
and not realizing? But I think the frustration for people is because they think you have to do this in isolation. I think
Right.
that's part of the
or
problem.
that there's some sort of linear sequence
That's right.
to it.
This is a simultaneous thing that you address. You focus. You have to do explicit systematic phonics instruction. Those children have to
Right.
learn how to access the code and how to encode as well, right? No question. But at the same time, and I mean at the same time as in like the same day, not the exact same hour or minute, you can also focus on explicit systematic language. instruction.
And how do I embed that into my literacy
Oh
plan?
yeah, well look, are you going to spend an hour and a half on phonics?
That's the
Yeah.
conversation about scheduling that I really want to talk about.
And we're
Because-
going to actually probably do, because Antonio has volunteered and now it's on screen live. I'm
Oh,
holding
great,
him
great.
accountable. We're going to go deeper into schedules.
Well, that is the issue. I mean, that is
It is.
it is
It's a big issue.
right. And that's something that
And what is the saying when you take from Pete? What's that saying?
yeah, steal
Oh,
from
when
Peter
you-
to pay
steal
Paul.
But that's what could happen if we don't get it right.
So
Yeah.
can I interject
Yeah,
one
go
point?
ahead.
I'm so sorry.
yes.
One of the reasons why I don't feel like we should worry too much about taking out 30 minutes of phonics instruction in these K1 classrooms to put in intentional, explicit, systematic language instruction. Here's the reason why.
Uh-oh.
Is because
You're making me a
that
little
language-
crazy.
I
I'm
know,
going nuts.
I know, but here's
I'm going nuts on the
I
air.
don't know the answer, but I'm telling you, this is why we shouldn't worry too much about it. Is that we have good evidence to suggest that better spoken language skills actually increases the efficiency of decoding acquisition.
Yeah, but danger zone.
I don't know. I don't
Danger
know.
zone.
I think
don't
both.
get yourself into the whole language world.
I'm not in whole language.
Right.
I'm not saying using language to decode.
I am not.
I am not
I'm
doing
going to
that.
push back.
Right.
Trina, I love you, but I want to have my phonics and
Right.
Yes.
I'm not saying
Yes.
don't have it. I'm just saying
don't even take a
I'm just
minute
saying-
away from my
there's
phonics
a few
time.
minutes in the day where you can also work on
You're right.
language comprehension
right.
systematically.
You're right.
They
And
have-
I'm just saying that if you do that early enough and well enough, your decoding instruction is likely going to be more efficient because the kids have strong spoken language
That
skills
makes-
to give
right.
to the learning task. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying
And there's
that-
research to support
Yes,
that, right?
Well,
yes.
and Antonio, you
Yeah.
were going to talk about the schedule, right? Do the kids need an hour and a half of explicit systematic?
Wait, we're
phonics
doing a
instruction?
whole
Oh.
different episode on that,
No,
but tell us a little
no,
bit.
absolutely not. Why can't we? And this is what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Embed that spoken language and how and embed that in
Yeah.
that lesson. That does make the phonics lesson really more effective.
That's it.
Yeah, and not only that, if you're working on spoken language in preschool, kindergarten, and first grade, you're
Right.
also working on writing because that's what comprehension starts. That's how comprehension's composition composition begins with that spoken language. And so I don't feel like the guidance that we get is like you need to move language stuff out so you can fit in phonics. I'm saying keep phonics, maybe just give a little
Okay.
lean.
Can I
to some
say
language
something that
comprehension.
might break your heart? So for a while, systematically, I think there was total like overlooking the foundational skills standards. Nobody was looking
Sure.
at them.
Yeah.
In my balanced
And
literacy
you're,
days.
you're
And I think
talking
that's
about
happening.
the decoding skills.
Correct. But I think the same thing's happening with the language.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's really looking at them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think there's many
Well,
people that
and
are totally ignoring
Or
them.
they'll read aloud to the children. But can I just say something about the research?
Yeah.
It is a beautiful message because we are working on implementation in the schools and because we have limited resources, almost all the studies that Tiffany Hogan and Charles Hume, Maggie Snowling,
Yeah.
Trina Spencer, and I, the studies that we've done, it is like literally 2 or 3 times a week for 20
Yeah.
minutes of oral
I think that
language.
was interesting. Wait, so say that again. Two
2
or
to 3 times a week for 20 minutes. And that's how we get large effect sizes in oral language.
So why don't you reach out to more district superintendents and get the message out? Maybe they don't know
What we
that.
try to do.
We're trying our best.
And what was
Judy.
the
They-
instruction
they-
that was,
I'll
that was being given?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
oral
It's
narrative.
explicit
Yeah,
and systematic oral narrative language. Not only narrative, but oral language
It's got
instruction.
vocabulary, inferencing, syntax,
Mhm.
discourse
Key
structures.
ingredient is children doing this rehearsal.
So
Do you see how
was
important that
sure
is
they
for
wanted to
our
say-
English learners?
Oh, wow. They're
Yeah,
having good.
And,
Oh,
and,
we know.
and it's not, yeah,
Yeah.
and how important that is.
and not
That's
only
how you
that,
learn
not only
language.
that, do you know? But we have a whole big shtick about how stories are the bridge, the vehicle. Our one of the programs that we developed is called Puente de Cuentos, right? It's a bridge made of stories, and we get from Spanish, their home language, to English very fast
Mhm.
because we use a storytelling vehicle conduit
there, yeah.
from one to the other.
Yeah.
It is so powerful. Stories get us from oral to written language. It gets us from this language to this language,
Right.
or anything, and it gets us to like understand you're different, and I hear your experience.
Mhm.
It's that social emotional. That's where our heart is. That affective vehicle comes through storytelling. So
Mhm.
we begin with storytelling that then we can transfer from
And
stories
think about the
to
relationship that
exposition.
you're developing too, right?
Right.
I mean,
Exposition,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all these
Because language
things.
is used
So-
for communication. That's its only purpose. And so when you are
Mhm.
actually using language to communicate, then you're connecting with other people.
And I don't think that there's enough of that going on in classrooms. I think that it's very robotic in many classrooms right now. There's a learning curve for people. They're getting new things. And I think that also very often you're told you have to be doing this at this time. And if you're not doing this at this time,
That's
you're in
true.
trouble. And then the conversations are gone. And then
Yeah.
we're not getting
Yeah.
to know our students enough. I got to know my students when I was in the classroom, but I don't see that teachers are being given the grace of time.
Mm,
So what's your suggestion from a practical lens?
yeah. Let's give them the
What was-
grace of
what was your
time.
From a practical lens, what is
Oh.
your suggestion when teachers are told minute by minute, you need to be doing this and that, but we know that language is everything. And
So
there's
I-
what was our new mantra? I forgot.
literacy is
Literacy.
language.
Literacy is language.
So I actually
There you
do
go.
have a thought about that, because even though we're promoting that there's a time in the day for explicit, systematic, cumulative language instruction,
right.
you don't have to, like, much of the Story Champs lessons actually happens outside of those structured teaching, teacher directed teaching, much of them. So there's times in the day when you could be, getting all your class to, use the restroom and they're standing in line, turn to your neighbor and tell a story about what you did over the weekend.
Amazing.
Right? Or now you're working on, some sort of, I don't know, anything that's going on in their class. Maybe, so we talk about sparkle words. They're doing a science lesson and we're like, dude, this is a new sparkle word. Did everyone hear that?
Mhm, mhm.
Listen. And so you're integrating comprehension strategies that are taught over here in a more controlled teacher directed way. And then you're infusing that into all of your other things. That's how magical language
And
is.
Charles and Trina both mentioned this, that the programs like this are educative. They teach teachers how to teach. And then the
Mhm.
teachers, they start to not require that scaffolding anymore.
Exactly.
Then
And
it
I wrote,
transcends
and that's
across the
when
day.
Doug, that's when you guys said it needs to be easy.
That's
Yes.
right. And then it transcends
Yes.
across the day, across all topics. They're using that evidence-based instructional approach across the whole day
Yeah.
to promote language.
So
yeah.
if we were to do this, if we were to be wholeheartedly have some intentionality about teacher-led language, spoken language instruction early in the years, what you would see is what you end up using and doing across the grades. You wouldn't need to have that explicit instruction anymore. They already know the patterns of language. They know words have patterns, words have multiple
I
meanings.
don't wait, clarify that. I didn't understand that last point. You just said I don't need what?
They might not need the explicitness, like the students are not going to need so much explicit instruction
Right. Because you
later.
already,
And the teachers
right.
Because
don't
it's
need the
basic, and the
script,
teacher doesn't need the script.
right?
But
Also, then you get to kind of save time.
yes, that's what
That's
I'm
right.
saying is it
becomes
becomes an
very fluent,
efficiency.
very
You start
fluent.
learning it, right?
Yes.
That's right.
And here's what happens in schools where Story Champs has been implemented in kindergarten and first grade. The second grade teachers say, well, I'm teaching them something. I'm actually teaching them second grade curriculum now because I don't have to stop and do all this remediation.
Right.
Do you see what happens? It's like they become better learners over
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
right? And the teachers can actually teach the curriculum they're expected to
So-
teach,
Yeah.
as opposed to remediating all this, stuff that they didn't get earlier.
Here's the thing, Judy, you don't want any BS and you want things to happen.
I don't
And
want
I
any
love your
more
question,
BS.
like, how do we actually make this happen? And And how do we get this into the hands of educators? Like this concept, this idea of focusing on language and the tools they need. I wish I had the answer.
Are you
for
optimistic that it's going to happen in more
Yeah.
classrooms soon?
that. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Oh,
But
yes.
You are.
Oh, absolutely.
But we cannot.
No question.
You
Okay,
cannot
good.
rely on researchers and scientists. We are not.
So you're relying on people like me.
No, we have to rely on all of us.
Okay, good.
No
This is
pressure,
a group
Judy.
effort, right? Like this is a group effort.
We share a vision.
And I've been saying this, we are different. We are very, very different. But the reason why we are powerful is because he has expertise and knowledge I do not have. And I share mine with him and he shares mine with us. And then we work with teachers, right?
Yes.
We're engaging teachers constantly. But when it comes to this, we are constantly being asked, why aren't you talking to these people? I'm like, wait a minute. My job is to produce the research and the science-based programs and tools. I got to work with other people who are the knowledge brokers. I got to work with the other people who are the state and
And that-
regional and
That can't
district
be fun.
decision makers.
Is it fun?
It's
I actually like that part. It's just not part of my job. I've already
Yeah.
got 10 jobs.
and we don't know how to do it
Right?
as well as
Exactly.
the
We don't know
knowledge
how to do it.
brokers.
That is not what we're trained to do.
Can you both tell me more about, or there's more than two of you. Can you both tell me more about how to teach and test? You say the tools are available to assess and teach. Tell me a little bit more
Yeah,
about
so the
that.
Cubed is a free assessment to download. And so what it does.
Explain exactly what that cube
Okay,
is
so
again.
here's what the Cube does. It has two different major sections. One that is designed to measure oral language and reading. Well, let me just leave it at oral language, okay? The other section is designed to measure word recognition. Areas related to those in sort of their two different bins, okay?
Can I chime in for a minute?
Uh-huh.
So while you were giving the presentation, I was thinking, but what if we're already using a screener like Acadians
Yeah,
and get
okay,
a lot
that's
of,
fine.
do we
Then-
have to do both
No,
parts?
no. Then just administer
Ah,
administer the
administer the
narrative,
language
the
parts.
narrative language measures part of the Cube. And it's
Yeah.
a beautiful supplement with something like Acadians. It goes,
Okay, great.
beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely. Do whatever you're doing for word recognition. Why
Okay.
do we care?
Yeah,
But
that's-
please do something for oral language.
You know,
okay?
I'm going to try the cubed.
Yeah.
September 2nd, I'm going back to work.
Okay.
What day do you want me to do
It's
it?
very simple. Do it September 2nd.
September
And
2nd.
here's
I'm
all
just
you
kidding.
do.
I might.
Well, you
Here's
should at least
all-
get
I
some
might.
practice before you get in front of
I
a
am.
But
kid.
it
I
doesn't
will.
require that much because we have AI supplementing it now, which is just like this. You ask a child to listen to a story, they tell you that story back. It is transcribed and scored for you. I'm not trying to take away.
I cannot wait.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that's
and-
not in the free version. I'm sorry.
But
let's
in
be
the
clear.
digital platform's not that expensive, right?
Okay,
And it's something
okay,
that gives you
okay.
incredible tools like that. And it's a simple idea. It is, I want to measure language. And so the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to take a language sample. That's a very simple idea and very evidence-based. You have the child retell for you the passage, and then you get all of the strands in that retell because it's language. Everything.
And then what do I do with it?
Okay, so then you don't just take that language sample, you actually have some scores. You quantify that child's performance, and it tells you this child is not meeting benchmark expectations on this strand.
So it
They're
breaks up the
struggling
results on the
in-
strand.
They're struggling in this
Okay, so like
difficult-
give me an
in this area.
example of a strand
Okay,
that
like
could come up
let's
as,
say story grammar, okay? Structure.
discourse
Discourse
structures.
structure, okay? This child did not include all of the important components of a story in their retell. And so then there are recommendations. It says,
Mhm.
okay, so that's what you need to focus on with this child.
so it's
help
very
them.
specific.
Absolutely. And now what that does is that tells you A, who's at benchmark and who isn't. That's great. But it also tells you B, do this to get them to benchmark.
Now, how do I assess if they've made progress in that?
Frequent progress monitoring, and we have parallel.
free?
It's free.
It's
Parallel
part of the
forms.
download. There are like 25 forms per grade.
I think you need to come to my school, sit down with me, because it's easy to say, there's this, there's this,
I know.
there's this.
Yeah.
You go to a conference,
We
like,
have
I just
we
need
have
somebody,
training.
I
online.
literally need somebody to hold
Yep.
my little hand.
But there
Because I'm
is-
really good at what I do, and I
Yeah.
love data, and I love
Yeah.
collecting
And how
it.
beneficial
but-
would this be for English learners? as
Oh,
well?
100%.
Oh.
And
yeah.
our preschool language stuff is in Spanish, and we have variations that are kind of like in progress. In
So
Spanish
you know what I
as well.
love?
And
I-
how is it being used?
Oh, all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Oh,
great.
yeah.
I love that you guys have something that's free.
We're typically
That's
talking about
that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Well, we did not have to produce it, like print it or anything. And so it can be free. Anything
Yeah.
we can make free, we'll do. But the things like the program that costs a horrible amount of money, that we do not have. that kind of money. And so obviously it's going to have to pay for itself. And same with like printing things like the Story Champs kits, those cost a lot of money.
They're
And
really
so-
beautiful.
Oh, well, thanks to Olivia.
Yeah, our
I
other
got-
partner is a graphics
And I got a
designer's
little
wife.
cube or it looks like
Yeah.
a die
Yes,
that
yes.
comes with it. And I
Yeah.
like that everything like kind of matches and the
Yes.
same symbols are everywhere.
Yeah.
And the brain likes things that are
Yeah,
repeated.
this is very perfect.
Yeah,
This is
that's
behind
the-
the
yeah,
design.
the
This
repeated
is-
patterns
This is
builds neural
Trina's.
networks.
This is
everything.
Trina's genius,
Pattern.
though,
It was
right?
like-
But
It was
that's
music
because
to my ears.
neuroscience is our superpowers are pattern recognition and inferential thinking. All we've got to do is teach to our superpowers. That's what we do.
And Stephanie Soller will love the fact that it's a multi-tiered approach and you don't do something different across each of the tiers. You do the same evidence-based, systematic, explicit instruction across the tiers.
You just change the what and the how
intensity,
much.
right? Yeah,
The
the how much.
All right, I'm going to speed it up because I'm almost on vacation after this
Oh,
and I
no.
have like 30 more
We're
questions.
keeping you
This is
from
going to be
vacation.
Spitfire. Yeah, Trina and Doug are keeping me from vacation. It's
Yeah.
not, it's
I'm
not
done. Yeah, I'll
Antonio's
just hang
fault.
around to have some fun.
That's how much I love Trina and Doug. Paul is probably watching this. Hi, Paul. He wants to go and have fun, but it's okay. All right, because I'm having fun.
You're so awesome.
All right. So, how do we ensure our instruction is effective? You said you're going to be providing us with a tool.
Yeah, the tools there. Yes, it's somewhere on this platform. I don't know. It's like a curriculum evaluation. You just go check. You say,
But
yes,
it's not
I've
like
got
that
this.
crazy tool
No,
that's
it's a
online.
one
Very
pager.
simple.
No.
And it's going to give me, it's going to
It'll
explain
help
what to
you.
me.
Yeah, it's gonna. There's 11 elements of explicit, systematic, and cumulative
You
and
guys
diagnostic.
created it?
Yes.
Okay, because I know if you created it, there's a lot of intentionality and thought that
Yes,
you
very
probably
much. Like I said, it's not
There was a lot of
fully
debate.
comprehensive, but we wanted
It
something
might
on
be-
one
it
page
might be good.
to
I don't-
prioritize.
I'm going to be honest, Trina, I don't want another 30-page
Yes,
document.
no,
And
no,
I'm not going to
single
name
page.
anybody,
Okay.
but there's a lot of tools
So-
out there that are like 30 or
It
40
just
pages.
focuses your thinking.
Good.
Yeah,
It just focuses your
so-
Okay,
thinking.
that's
So
exciting.
we just want you to
You hear that, Literacy View listeners? We're going to have in our show notes, and Trina's pretty responsible. I know she'll get that to us fast.
That's a good
So while I'm
comment.
driving to Yellowstone, I'm going to be copy and pasting. Okay, actually, I'm going to give Trina 24 hours.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's generous.
I'm
Wow.
going to give you
doesn't
24
need
hours.
that.
I'm gonna need 24
No,
minutes.
yeah,
24 minutes. All
That's
right.
because my brain doesn't remember anything
And
past
we put it
24
in-
minutes.
we put it in
All
making
right, we're going
movies
to the
in
next
10
stuff. We're
seconds.
doing Spitfire questions. You both said we generate language before we write. We've talked a little bit about that. Any other things you want to tell me about that quickly?
Language is writing and writing is language.
Ooh. How does boosting
That was
spoken
great.
language early give kids more language resources for learning?
Oh, yeah, just that it does. I don't know how to say it other than it just does.
Can we call Hugh Cass?
Yeah.
Can we phone a friend?
You would probably have his number. You
I
can
do.
text
Let's
him in like
text
2
him.
seconds.
Thank
He
you.
might pop in next.
If we say that literacy is language, then we better be teaching language so that they can acquire all of the aspects of literacy. That's all.
Okay.
It's all there.
Now, you also both said, I'm holding you guys so
I know.
accountable
Look at
today.
you.
I love it. You
The
really,
teacher-
This is
you
like a
live it.
report
Yeah.
It's very
card.
dangerous because we say things we don't even know we're saying. So
So
I
you
know, I
said
get myself in trouble.
early screening is key, but very often schools are saying, wait.
Oh.
Wait. This could cost us
Oh.
a lot of money, years of special education. Wait, watch and wait, collect more data. But you said early screening is key. Tell me more about
yeah,
that.
well, and that's, I mean, we're channeling Ann Kaiser here too, right?
And Kaiser, I had a session with her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the early screening is key, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to children who have dyslexia or DLD, or for whom children are where they're learning.
But a lot of
No.
Oh,
What gets
What do you mean?
tested?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh,
they're fighting on the air.
I'm
Because
sorry, but that is
you're
key.
talking about screening for disorders.
Yes.
I am saying screening is necessary because if we do not screen for language across the board for all kids in schools, we will not teach it.
Yeah. Well, it's also good to screen for disorders as well. I would say we are both right here.
We are
Yeah.
both right.
I'll
Because
take
those are
it.
the
What did
two-
Antonio
I'll
say?
take it. I'll say
Antonio,
it.
what do you have to
I'll-
say?
The more information we get, the earlier. the
Okay, but
faster
what do you?
we do
Okay,
that.
but I
There you
want
go.
to
There you
talk
go.
really from a practical point. You tell an admin we need to screen. The admin says we need to watch, wait, collect data. No. What do you do?
Well, I would say that used to be the strategy, but we have new evidence that says that isn't the best strategy right now.
And
We've got some new tools
we
that'll help
just-
you.
And how do and
Up
what?
your game.
we just know the earlier that you intervene, the better.
The better.
But what if some districts have a really
Yeah.
weight approach.
Well, they shouldn't, because we
Thank
know
you.
that the
Doug, can you
earlier
say it? Wait,
shouldn't.
Let's put the microphone in front of Doug's
they
mouth.
shouldn't,
This
because
is
we
actually
know
why
that
I
the
left.
earlier the better.
This is why I left school psychology, because I was being forced to wait. And I said, absolutely not. I will not wait.
Yeah, and
Right? I was
why
being
would
forced.
why would they want
We
to
know early
if it
intervention is
damages
key.
children? They don't want to harm children. There's not a single
I
person
think
out
that
there
they're
who wants
afraid that we're overdiagnosing, that we're
That's
giving
scary,
kids
though.
labels.
So
That is so
I do
scary.
think that we
Mhm.
went through an era where everyone was afraid to identify children who come from linguistically diverse backgrounds. And I think there's been some like hyper reaction to that. But I'm going to say we have better tools now that
Yes, we do.
don't do that. We don't over identify that we do, but I'm saying standard practice, we do.
Wait, you
But
said
we
we
had
do
new
and we don't.
tools.
Wait,
No,
wait,
no,
wait.
I know,
wait,
I'm trying
wait.
to clarify.
It makes sense in your head, not
I
in
know.
my head.
I know, I realize that. We have tools that compensate for the past weaknesses so that we do not have to over identify
think-
them.
Do-
And that's
do the-
really
do the
important. These are
leaders,
new
do the
tools.
districts know that?
Well, we just
Not
barely
enough.
published this dynamic assessment in January, the Diamond.
Okay, I'm
and
going
it
to give
is-
you some time. I'm
It
going to
is
give you a
a
little bit of
dynamic
time.
assessment of language and of
So we got
reading.
more than 7 months.
Well, I mean, yeah, give us, but I mean, we're trying so hard. And here we have this dynamic assessment, which we've administered to many multilingual children, and it does not matter the degree that they understand or produce English. It doesn't matter because we're measuring their learning. How will they learn something new? And we're not suggesting they don't need help to develop whatever language they want to develop.
So
in the
you're going to
community.
collaborate
That's
with
right.
Antonio
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit and
right.
test out
Yeah.
the
But we
tools?
can
No,
tell
it's already
you.
been tested.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
done.
tons of
But I want to
data.
get
Already.
more stuff with Antonio.
Of
on
course.
Oh
this.
yeah, well, we can
Well-
get involved,
Yeah.
but we should be at the implementation because that's how people know about it.
This is already
The
a
research is
norm
already
reference,
there.
A norm reference dynamic assessment with 2,000 children in the normative sample who are culturally,
But we
linguistically
need more
diverse.
people like me,
Yes,
Antonio,
You-
doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Do you realize
that's where
that you're
we're
a
at.
knowledge broker? Do you know what that means?
Well, she
So
that's
You
she
just
lives
called me
it.
a broker?
She lives it.
That is the implementation science term for what you do.
Them
We
fighting words,
we
they-
develop knowledge and tools. It's up to people like
Hi,
you
everybody. My
to
name is
broker
Judy
the knowledge.
Foster. I'm a broker.
I'm a broker.
Knowledge broker to be
A
exact.
knowledge broker. And
What's
this
how I feel about that?
Yeah.
This is really
I
good.
don't know about that.
It's a science term. It's an implementation science term, right? There are knowledge creators, right? And there are knowledge implementers.
I just feel like
but you
more
have
of a
to have somebody-
practitioner type of person.
Yeah,
though. Like,
that's- But you
to the-
are. Think
the
about
same.
think about how many teachers you're imparting knowledge on.
and I think
You're
I did
drawing
that.
from the research
And I'll tell you,
getting it
and
there.
I'll tell you why I did that. And I did that with Faith, because sometimes when you work in a school system, you feel like you have no control.
I know.
And this is a sense of control to make a difference. And that's literally all I want with the literacy view is to make a difference.
But
and
when
make
we
an
say
impact.
why doesn't anybody know about our stuff, is because we don't have enough people brokering the knowledge from science to practice.
We're researchers. We're not marketing people.
Right, and you're
who
not
don't-
millionaires.
Yeah, and
Not yet.
No, I mean, we're
Definitely not millionaires. We're teachers just like you.
I'm like the
Right, we
opposite
get
direction
paid
of
barely,
that,
like,
so-
you know, like barely. Our jobs are as busy as teachers at higher education, and there are so many problems in our systems. I mean, we
Yeah.
can't fix them. We're fighting against these same kinds of things. We don't have any control over those things.
So why do you think the impacts go beyond spoken language?
Well, because
Language
literacy
is
is
language.
everything.
Yeah,
And
language is
literacy is language, and language
Charles'
is everything.
mantra: literacy is language, language is language, reading is language.
Wow,
language
we're
is
gonna have to make
everything.
like now
All
we're
the-
giving out
all- yeah.
1,000 stickers.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we're gonna
Lenguaje
go
es
make-
I was like,
It's todo.
yes, I said, like,
Todo,
to get a sticker.
lenguaje, todo.
But this is really important
Okay.
because we could do this badly. We couldn't do this badly, and I want to point out
we could.
we could, because sometimes when we think about explicit systematic instruction, it feels very rigid, right? With language, you need to do it. That explicit systematic, it unfolds a little differently than drill. Because if you do that, you just produce, like, if I teach you a word for pen, guess what? You learn the word for pen.
Mhm.
But if
Okay.
I learn you how to figure out, if I teach you how to figure out what words mean, that transports across the language strands, the language context, all the meaningful communication. It's a conduit, right? So we can teach language in a way that produces generative impacts, but we could do it badly if
Yeah.
we are not careful.
It's got-
Right,
be
but I think that
contextualized.
the potential
Thank you.
for
Yeah.
less catastrophes in that area is to give us resources that
Exactly.
are
That's
easy
right.
to use.
That's right.
Which
And
is
so
the
story champs, quote unquote,
And this is not a sales pitch.
Let me
I'm-
just,
this
let me
is
just
the
do a
point,
point. The
right.
reason why it's called story champs is because it contextualizes the instruction in the story, because that's the context you need for language to
it-
develop a communication.
But think about how
context.
hard it is.
No, it's all good, man. We're
But
good.
think about
We're
how hard
We're
it is for a lot of the people I know in the trenches that don't have good resources, and they're being forced to use something that's not well scripted or not well written, or the gradual release is not even really in there, and you have to create the
Right.
gradual release,
Right.
and then they're being evaluated with
So
things
why are
that
they
are-
u-
wait, no,
Oh, sorry.
let me finish. Let me
Okay.
finish.
You'll like
Because
what
I get
I'm gonna
very
say.
upset because teachers are being evaluated on things that are inefficient, being told they need to recreate it, and then they're being evaluated and told
I know.
you're not good enough.
It's not
I'm
fair.
pissed
You're
off
not
about
good
that,
enough.
too.
Yeah.
And they weren't taught in college either. on
So
how to
I
do it.
got a cheat for you, and we're the authors, and we don't care. So if you download the Cube, it comes with, I don't know, 100, at least 100 stories. Okay, that you can use for assessment. You can also use them for teacher
I didn't know that.
And why would you use those for teaching?
because they're great, contextualized, purposeful, meaningful communication.
And the
And there are
increasing-
words in there.
Right.
There are words that are planted in every story. There are sentence patterns, like complex sentences that are planted in every story,
Wow.
and they
That's-
all have the discourse pattern.
So,
So-
when will I use those?
And they
So-
increase in complexity as the grades go. Preschool, kinder, first, second, third,
okay,
all
so
the way
when
to
can
eighth
Miss
grade.
Judy pull it out and do it?
Oh yeah, it's very easy. You pull out this little
But
story.
when am I doing it?
Oh, hey, are you
I
going
don't
to
know what
spend
your day looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. If you
I
don't
know
have
what
to
my
spend
day
an hour
looks
and a
like,
half
Trina.
on it,
I'll find out on September 2nd.
okay, well, if you don't have to spend
You-
an hour and a half on explicit systematic phonics
No.
instruction, you can have 20 minutes, just 20 minutes of the day to do language, then tell that story to the children, and then have them practice retelling that story.
I cannot wait to use it.
Watch
That's it.
some
Yeah, that makes
videos
sense.
on YouTube.
Sure.
You'll see me teaching story champs, and just watch those procedures. It's very
I think
intentional.
I went on your YouTube, but sometimes I get overwhelmed because
Yeah.
I'm seeing so many things. So just send me
Mm.
the specific links and maybe send some
Do
nice.
you want large
specific
group, small group, or one-on-one?
I want one large group, one small group, and one one-on-one.
Okay.
Write it down.
Trina's writing on her hands again.
Better
Write it down.
And I'm going to take a picture of her hands and put it in the show notes.
And you need
Maybe,
the
maybe
curriculum
not.
checklist.
All right. So a couple more things. Why are so many kids not comprehending
Well,
in our classrooms right now?
because we do not teach language intentionally and spoken language early enough.
And the language that we're asking them
Oh,
to
yes, good
understand
point.
is the language that they are not used to speaking in the community, at home. It's a completely different dialect.
The language of schooling
Yeah,
or academic language.
academic.
It's
Right.
like you're asking me, how come you don't understand Shakespeare?
Right.
Well,
and-
Oh, wait. That brings me back. You made a salmon reference during your discussion.
oh my gosh.
Salmon?
Salmon.
Can you give that example of what you were saying? Because that really hit
it's,
home to
it's
me.
just very simple. It's just this idea that if you're going to test a child, for example, on their vocabulary, like what do you know? So you can test them. Hey, do you know that this is a pen or a pluma? Do you know that this is a bottle? What do you know? Well, they may not know these things for many reasons, not because they have a disorder. It could be because nobody ever told them this was a pluma.
So
Or
give
not
it-
Or they've
Several
never
things.
seen
So
one.
give an example that might
So-
apply to Antonio,
Yes,
Judy,
it's
and
super
Trina.
relevant to
Yeah,
what
and so
Antonio
Give
did.
it-
I'm just simply saying that, look, I know all 5 Pacific salmon. I know all of the species of salmon. I could identify them immediately if I put pictures of them
You
in
really
front of
could.
you. Oh yeah,
Yes, but I know a
I'm
salmon
from
is a
Alaska.
fish.
I got the context.
I
Right.
can't stand
But-
salmon, and I don't want to
but
hear
you've
about
never
it.
had one
No,
of mine.
I hate salmon.
You've never had
No,
one
I'm
of mine.
sorry, I hate
You ain't
salmon.
that farm Atlantic junk. You put the pictures of salmon in front
Right.
of you, and I say, "Can you identify a coho,
Right.
a chinook,
Right.
a sockeye?" You're like, "No, no, no."
Right.
I could say, "Oh, she's got a disorder. She doesn't know those
Right.
words."
This is
Yeah.
what we do to
Yeah.
our
And-
multilingual kiddos.
That's what we do
exactly.
to the
We
kids.
do this all the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
tests
But
are terrible.
Yeah.
That dynamic
we do.
assessment process, though, is Judy. I sit down and I say, "No, you don't like salmon, but I'm going to teach you anyways. This is a sockeye. This is a coho. This is a chinook. You have typical language learning. You will learn what those are, and you'll learn it quickly. And I will say, oh, you do not have a language disorder, right? But children who have a language disorder have difficulty learning language, and it is very palpable. You put that in front of them. You teach them those words. It's not easy for them to learn, and you identify disorder. And it is void of cultural linguistic bias by doing so.
That's really impactful. Wow. Now, you've both said some phrases.
You said,
Boy,
Trina,
oh no.
That's
the
dangerous.
children in the
Yeah.
school belong to all of us. And then Doug said, we are here to change the world. So
Oh.
what does that mean?
CTW.
Okay, so I believe, and I think you mentioned something earlier about how do we get all of us with a single message. It requires us all to take part on this collective, right?
I think
We
so.
cannot do it a single discipline. The silos are not working for us, which is a problem with our
Exactly.
Right.
higher ed.
You can't be the speech teachers in the
No.
corner that nobody knows.
Yes, no. And I mean, the same as school psychologists. People would be
Don't
like,
forget that. What's that person's name? Who is
yeah, people would say, what do you know about instruction?
Right,
You're not the teacher.
right.
I'd be like, well, this is a problem, right?
Okay, good. So,
So,
I'm happy
yes.
that this conference has united. I mean, we saw a doctor in the house, we saw SLPs in the house, we saw practitioners. We didn't see enough principals.
No.
I have to be
we
honest.
didn't see enough principals. There were not enough school
Don't they
psychologists,
belong
and there
here?
were not
They
enough
do.
behavior analysts
More
because those are people in the
superintendents.
buildings too.
So we got to target more of those
Yeah, we need
people. We
more.
have to
We do.
talk to Nell about that
Yeah.
to bring them in. I would love for the administrators to be right
Yeah.
at that table. I think that's key.
Yeah, it
Maybe
is.
also
It is.
parents or a conference for
That'd be
parents,
amazing. Yeah.
right?
Parents can do so much to
Yeah,
promote oral
and-
language at home.
And they're
So
just another
much.
partner
Channeling
in the
Ann Kuiper,
collaborative partnership. They are another partner. They are not lesser. They are not
That's
different.
right.
They are not separate. They have their own expertise, and it should be validated. Their lived
And they also
experiences are
sometimes want to
absolutely
know what they could do
necessary.
at home.
And
course.
oh man, and the role that they play in developing the children is profound.
Yeah, and imagine if we were able to help them or support them be able to develop their children's
Yeah.
spoken language abilities
Yeah.
in whatever language
And
they're
help them
speaking.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Become
exactly.
They
multilingual.
are.
Yes.
They have more resources to contribute to that generative learning.
Do you
That's what
agree,
we're talking about.
Antonio?
Yeah, absolutely. Why
The,
not?
the
Yeah.
norm should be the multilingual brain.
Mhm.
Right. And that's what we were talking
That's
about
the norm.
earlier. Why can't we have that?
Yeah.
All right, Doug, I'm holding you accountable
Oh,
again.
no.
Can you believe this?
Look, I say stuff.
Look at my sloppy
sometimes, man.
handwriting. Doug, you said not all comprehension activities need to relate to text or decoding. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I think that was Trina, but hey,
Oh, sorry,
okay.
it might have been Trina.
It's
That's
okay.
one of the faulty beliefs is there. And
No.
sorry, I actually heard somebody in one of your guests say that.
Wait, what did they say?
I'm going to
This is
say the
getting
words
controversial.
that came out of their mouth
Was
was
it me?
reading comprehension. So instruction to improve reading comprehension requires text. I wrote it down.
Who said that?
I don't want
Oh,
to say.
Now I have to watch
No.
136.
No,
No.
no, I don't want to say because it's not like that was.
Oh.
I understand why they believe
Well,
that.
text can help.
Yes,
Of
but it's
course.
because they believe this other thing. Our research says that written language is more complex than spoken language. And here's what I want to say is we can use and create spoken language experiences that are just as complex as written
I think that's so
material.
important.
Therefore, we
Yeah,
can't use
that
it
is
as an excuse to not do
And
it.
can I just take that message a little further? Like, if you think you have to wait for kids to understand or read the text to focus on comprehension, that means you're waiting until they decode.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You
don't have
can
to do
work on oral language, the
I think,
complexity.
yeah, I think
at-
after this
at
conference,
birth.
I think I got that message.
Okay.
The other thing I kept hearing at this conference was test, teach, test.
Yeah, that's your dynamic assessment idea. That's the idea that I'm
Look how happy Doug looks.
I mean,
I know your notes are
Look,
incredible,
I love it.
Judy.
I mean, test,
Faith, are you
teach, test.
proud of me?
It's just this idea that it's not, if I want to identify who has dyslexia or who has a language disorder, and I am sitting down with a child that speaks English and Spanish, and I test them in English only, and I say, hey, what do you know? Test. What do you know? And they don't know English, or they don't know a lot of English. I could be ridiculous enough to say, oh, well, this child must have a language disorder. Think about what happens though if you say test. Okay, there's some, their English is emerging. I don't know what's going on. Teach. Let me
How do
teach
you learn?
Let me teach you how to tell a story. Right. Let me
Okay.
teach you. I'm going to measure how hard it is for you to learn or how easy it is for you to learn language. Then I'm going to test you again. Test, teach, test. Now, what I've gotten, I've achieved this amazing amount of information about how well a child can learn something new. DLD and dyslexia are learning disabilities, and I'm measuring their ability to learn. That's why you get almost perfect sensitivity and specificity in identifying these disorders with dynamic assessment. no matter what race, ethnicity, languages those children speak, because it's not about that. It's about learning something new.
I think that's awesome.
Can I want to make draw a parallel here. So in my talk, I also was like, I think everybody knows what to teach, right? We know what the strands are. We know all the what. We need to move to how, because that's the harder part.
I think that we
that's
should
the part
have
the
more conferences
teachers
that
need.
delve into the how if we can.
But he's talking about assessment as well. And we stop at the what. We need to make it a step further to the how.
Listen, I would have loved in the future if I could sit down now. Okay, let's go in a room and administer one of the assessments right on the spot. Wouldn't that be powerful? Even if it's a tiny little thing that I could do, I would feel more confident.
Just takes a couple
rather
minutes
than
to
Judy
do.
goes back to her school and does it by herself.
Yeah.
So
It's all right. I have a lot of frequent flyer miles. I'll come to New York.
come on down, Trina.
Oh my gosh, could I come too?
You could come anytime.
What a
My kid's
dream.
going to China. I'll put you in Israel.
Oh.
I'm only.
Yeah, I want to go.
I don't know. It's going on anytime. Listen.
Let's see what's going on.
That's awesome.
I'll-
So we're getting to the best part of my show. 3 things or whatever.
there you go.
Antonio, you're
I
allowed
already
to do
did
it. Well, if it's something comes up,
Yeah, yeah.
BS and literacy that we've got to let go of now, not tomorrow, not 24 hours from now. BS.
Well, there's BS out there that you can't measure comprehension. And that's not true. Can you measure it perfectly? No, that's not true either. But you can measure comprehension. And people say you cannot measure language comprehension or reading comprehension. That's not accurate. I can measure how well you understood what I just said right now. I could ask you to tell it back to me.
Oh my God, don't put me on the spot.
Well, I'm
though.
just saying there could be a lot of information about
Right.
how well you understood what I just said,
Right.
right? You can measure it. And the reason why that BS has to be extinguished is because we cannot throw our hands in the air saying, oh, I don't know how to measure language, therefore I can't do it. And so then I don't know who has language
And I
difficulties.
think that as teachers, we're desperate for that. We gave up running records, which we knew were inefficient, but at least we were having conversations with kids and talking. But now you're telling me there's research validated things
That's
that are
right.
working. Get those tools in my hand.
Yep.
Get those
Got
tools. I don't want to wait
Free to
till
download,
tomorrow.
just do it.
BS.
Okay, I got one.
She does
I
love
have
the
so
BS
many,
part.
but we have
Yeah.
touched on some of them. Okay, so one of them is that because oral language, listening and speaking develops naturally, we don't need to teach it explicitly.
Oh, yes.
This right here, this BS is keeping us away from explicit, systematic, cumulative instruction. And what I want to say is I love read alouds. I love read alouds.
Right.
I am never going to tell you to stop doing
Right.
read alouds, but it is not nearly the explicit, systematic, and cumulative that the kids in our schools need today.
Can we make them better?
I don't think that's the right move. I
Okay.
think what we need is something like our systematic explicit, like the Nelly and story champs. And
Okay.
we use read alouds to diffuse and capture and generalize those things that we're teaching in this explicit way. And now you get it over there because here's why. Because when you teach in this very explicit way in this short few minutes and then generalize those concepts, words, all the things that you taught, right? They actually have more language resources to learn from that
And
read
then that
aloud.
experience will be a totally different experience.
Exactly.
And the conversations will be totally
They're-
different because we
the
can
kids
practice.
now have the words, the sentences, and the discourse complexity and the inferential abilities to answer those
You know what?
questions
It's
through
all
read aloud
starting
better.
to make sense to me now. Why do I have a scripted phonics program? Why do I have structures? And
Right.
what impact does that have on the application? Why are we not giving the same?
Yeah, because
respect
you're
to
teaching
language?
little patterns
Yeah.
of phonics, which is patterns. You're teaching how to use these patterns in novel,
So it's
unfamiliar
the
words.
application piece.
It's exactly the
Oh.
application piece. You need this explicit.
Okay, so Trina, this was
Instruction
good
on the
that I saw you
patterns.
guys in person because I've had you on twice and they've been rich discussions, but now everything's like making more sense.
I think that's just it. Is it's just going to take longer for these ideas to sink in and get through this, like,
Okay, that
because
makes
we also
sense.
have to battle
That
some
makes
faulty
sense.
beliefs.
And we can start at the university level, right? Our
We've
students,
been in the-
our students can learn this.
Yes, our
But
students.
is
their
every
teacher ed
university
program.
going to be held accountable? I mean, the show's wrapping up. I promise it's wrapping up.
Uh-huh.
But what if it's a private school and they don't have to be accountable?
Yeah, well, I think that as teachers, as
We're not going there again.
instructors, we
I
should
would love to
hold
have more
ourse-
control than I do.
we should
Right.
hold ourselves accountable to teach evidence-based practice.
And
I
I hope
love that
well,
message, buddy.
that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, something to cheer, and then we're going to say bye, and I'm going to party. What are we cheering in
Okay.
education?
I think that what we're cheering in education is that language is actually becoming recognized for its role in reading, in everything, and it will change the world through that recognition.
What are you cheering, Trina?
I think that there is progress around interdisciplinary exchanges. It's not as fast as I would like, but I do believe we talk and identify and call out silos are the problem. But the answer is cultural humility, right? We need to replace disciplinary centrism with cultural humility, and we need to be on the same team.
Yay.
Yeah.
And we are. I see
Yeah.
progress with
Yeah,
that.
and I think
You do.
silos are being torn down.
Yes.
Slowly but surely.
Dismantling.
You know, I mean, I think there's more coming together as a field.
Yes.
And these types of conferences. I
Not
mean,
all conferences look like this.
No,
conference.
exactly. But this is really
unique.
This one is special. And why can't we duplicate these in other areas?
Trina said
as
she's
well?
at all the conferences.
Yeah.
I heard
That's
you say that.
one of the reasons why people don't know me is because I discipline hop, right? I go to linguistics, early
so you're a party
childhood,
hopper. A
literacy.
literacy hopper.
So behavior analysis would be considered my home discipline. I go to those least because I already know of that.
That's
stuff.
right. And I think
I'm
that's
trying to
so
infuse good
important.
stuff and be friends with everybody. I'm like, okay, I don't have an OT friend yet. I
Right.
got to go make one.
That's
You know, I got to show up at their
That's
conference.
awesome. And I think for me, this was pushing myself out of my comfort zone. It's very easy for me to go to a conference that focuses so much on decoding, but how many more times am I going to do the same old?
And I think that I will have a place a challenge to all my colleagues as well, is that this type of information does need to infiltrate all other conferences as well. I mean, because especially in my area of ELs
So
and
maybe,
multilinguals,
right.
this type of information is just not evident. So it's a lot of implicit instruction. It's a lot of feel-good instruction, which I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. But what
Right.
happened to a real thorough understanding of language? The language is just not oral language. What about providing the explicitness behind it
Yeah.
and teaching that? So
But it stays oral if
Yeah.
we don't do it well enough,
yeah,
right? We never get
exactly.
to the written language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway-
you see so
And into
many
the literacy.
amazing things.
Anyway, we're wrapping up. This is not the last discussion that we'll have with our No BS besties. I have a feeling we're going to see them many, many, many more times. But anyway, we're changing lines one view at a time. Bye, everyone.
Besties.
No
BS
BS besties. I love it.